Well, let me ask you something. How can we expect God to move powerfully in our lives if we're still holding on to the very things that compete with Him? Before God could use Gideon to defeat Israel's enemies, something closer to home had to be dealt with first. So, howdy, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Today's Bread. Now, this week we are talking about Gideon. He's an unlikely hero, and today our focus is restoring true worship. Now, the scripture reference is Judges chapter 6, verse 25 through 27. Now, by this time, the Israelites had failed to stay devoted to God, who gave them the land they were living in. Instead, they allowed the worship of Baal to creep into their lives, and it became a constant snare to them. So before Gideon could lead Israel into battle, God gave him a very personal assignment. The Lord told Gideon to tear down the altar to Baal and build a proper altar to the Lord. Now, in other words, Israel's relationship with God needed to be restored before victory could come. There's an important lesson there for us. If we want to make a real spiritual impact on the culture around us, we have to maintain a committed relationship with God ourselves. After all, why would people who don't know God want to follow Him if they see His people chasing the same idols as everyone else? Well, Gideon obeyed the Lord. He tore down his father's altar to Baal, cut down the Asherah poles, and used its wood to offer a proper sacrifice to God. That was the beginning of the restoring true worship in the land. And as Gideon obeyed, his confidence in God began to grow. Now he wasn't completely fearless yet. In fact, Gideon carried out this assignment at night. Well, because he was afraid of his family and the men of the city. But here's the encouraging part. He still obeyed. Now, sometimes faith doesn't mean the absence of fear. Sometimes faith simply means doing what God asks, even while we're still a little bit afraid. Like Gideon, we have to step out in faith and do what God is calling us to do. And as we do, our faith will grow stronger and stronger. When we focus more on God and less on our fears or our problems, we begin to see more clearly what God is doing in us and through us. So thank you, and I pray that these videos, and in fact all of our posts, are a blessing in your life. Now, Wednesday's prayer focus for America: that truth will rise above lies, confusion, and propaganda. Now remember, Jesus is coming back soon. And here's Wednesday's priestly blessing. May the Lord be gracious to you. Now I pray that you've enjoyed today's edition of Fresh Daily Bread. Now take this word with you and let the bread of life sustain you.